What up, Marsh Pod? Big day, a big day in the quad as both matchups today, SMU and Xavier, UCLA, Alabama, later tonight. Today, we're talking the four storylines for each team, should they be the ones that ultimately raise the trophy as SimWorld U national champions. Let's start with Alabama, and this would be a getting over the hump type of season for Alabama, a team that's been relevant over the past half decade. It's been the best stretch in their program's history. It's a team that Alabama and national championships does not include basketball, right? It's primarily football. And here they are on the doorstep of a chance for a national championship, a team that lost last season in the Grade A, a team that hasn't been able to win the last game of the season. And going back to the start of Hoopsteria, that remained consistent. They couldn't beat Kentucky in the SEC championship game. They were having to go in as the number one seed that people really doubted more than anybody else. And yet, here they are, yet again, on the doorstep of a national championship game and potentially a national championship. If they were to win this thing, they put themselves into this current group of extremely talented basketball teams, right? It's into this group where we've seen, yes, the Dukes of the world still hang around, but Baylor, Houston, Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, these teams that have come from relatively nowhere, and in the last half decade, and part of that's been due to more transfers, right? A little bit of VIL money, where guys are just not going to traditional powers. That was one of the storylines of this draft class, or this freshman class, when it started out. It wasn't blue bloods getting all of these signings, right? It wasn't Duke and Kansas and Kentucky dominating signings. It was Alabama. It was Arkansas. It was Illinois. It was Villanova. It was this very Jackson State, Auburn, Davidson, this very diverse crew, and Alabama, I think, has been the poster child of this from a success level. No real superstar on this team. It's a team that's full of really deep, talented players. DJ Childs was projected as the best. He's kind of faded in his years at Tuscaloosa. But if Alabama gets there, it's a crowning moment of a team that's been chipping away to get there with really, really impressive returns. UCLA. If UCLA were to win a national championship, it would be a return to power, right? A dominant team, one of the most dominant teams in all of college basketball history that has sat dormant for so many years, finally reclaiming their spot atop the college basketball mountaintop. That's what this would be. It would be a Jalen Snow coronation, a guy that's very much in play as the number 3 overall pick. I really think it's Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, but that's a conversation for another day. It's a return to dominance for this program that has had so many great players come through it, right? But maybe not a ton recently. UCLA, really, since Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love were there, it's not been a program that's been exceptionally respected around college basketball. It would be now. It would be again. Lee Gerald Carroll, J.J. Ortega, Evangelos Mullins, Jalen Snow at the tip of that spear, getting the Bruins back to just elite dominance that I think many people have come to expect from UCLA. It's very much a team like, I don't want to say like the Lakers because the Lakers have had relevance, and I don't want to say the Yankees because the Yankees have had relevance, but these teams that historically all of their championships came back when maybe the playing field wasn't so challenging, and yet that still gives them the credibility of one of the most prestigious programs in college sports or in their respective sports. UCLA is that one, and this would get them back to the mountaintop in a way that maybe the path wasn't as treacherous as it could have been, but they laid the groundwork of what was in front of them, and marching on is no small feat. All right, SMU. If SMU wins a national championship, this would be, and I know the team I'm about to say did not win a national championship, but it would be the greatest freshman-led run since the Michigan Wolverines in the 90s. Right, since the Fab Five took the Wolverines, and you can say what you want about what was vacated and what wasn't, but this run by SMU with a freshman group that I just can't overemphasize how valuable this team has been and how impressive it's been with this many freshmen. You don't see that in college basketball, right? The good teams of college basketball are teams that have some really talented young players. They might be freshmen, but then they also have upperclassmen that end up carrying the load. And that's true of both Alabama and UCLA, right, on the other side of it. You have Dwan Epps, you have Quincy Henderson, Jalen Snowley, Gerald Carroll. McAllen Duval has looked like that. Cam Jones has sparked like that. But those guys are freshmen. The people I just mentioned are juniors, sophomores, seniors. Those are guys that have been in college basketball for at least 2 seasons, and now they're blossoming. SMU doesn't have that. This in a hoops area that has bucked every single trend, right? With 2 number 16 seeds winning, 3 number 15 seeds winning, a 13 and a 14 in the quad, at least guaranteed at least a 13 seed in the national championship. A hoops area that has been unprecedented in every way. SMU would be the poster child of this tournament. A team that's led by freshmen, by only freshmen, a team that looked good for parts of the season, was a top 25 team for parts of the season, but down the stretch was very, very bad. Not a good basketball team down the stretch. If that's the national champion, that is the poster child of what this tournament was this season. Chaotic, unpredictable, and unprecedented. And it would be a true stunner for that to happen, but an enjoyable one if it were. And Xavier's story here, if they were to win this, would be really a credit to head coach Sean Mill. I mean, the rise of Xavier has been so formulaic, right? But not necessarily that they followed one. The fact that this team went from pretty much a nobody in college basketball, right? Xavier had that run in the 2000s where they were kind of frisky team, maybe could be an exciting one. From there, they went to being kind of lost in the Big East. They make this transition. They add some teams into the Big East. And since then, the last 3 seasons, Super 16, Grade 8, and now into the quad. They are taking the step. They are winning the game that last season they couldn't. Then they're losing at the next step. So history would tell us Xavier loses this game, and then next season their national championship appearance. That's what their track record tells us. But that has been just an incredible building block. And if you look at a great comparison for this Xavier team, really is Alabama. Now, Alabama didn't have a deep run where they were number 14 seed, where they had a bad regular season to get there. But we are going to build from a really barren portfolio, barren options, and we're going to build up with a really good head coach that's going to get us there every step of the way. And that's what has happened with Xavier. Now, Miller's going to have a lot of suitors. There's going to be a lot of people that want him to be their head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays put. Now, there's going to be big names calling, right? A lot of big programs have fired their head coaches. There's a lot of vacancies that too many for me to even keep track of. But there is just a really impressiveness that if they get to a national championship, it is a tip of the cap to the progression that this group has made, both within the coaching ranks, within the program, and on the floor. This season, this team has not been star-laden, right? Even SMU, you compare it to McAllen Duval, you start feeling like, hey, what's Duval's ranking? Is he a first-round pick next season as a freshman going into his sophomore year? Xavier doesn't really have that, right? They've got some guys that might be able to slip into the second round. Maybe some G League guys, some Euro Leaguers, but not many SWBA prospects, and yet still here they are, standing on the cusp of an appearance in the national championship game, which nobody saw coming. You could talk yourself into the other 3 teams in the quad. SMU was a top 25 team at times, and they struggled down the stretch. Alabama is a number 1 seed. UCLA was a top 10 team all season long. But Xavier was none of those things. Xavier was a team that was exceptionally disappointing. Xavier was a team where you saw the win-loss, and if they beat a team that had a better record than them, you were impressed. But otherwise, it was a move on to the next one. That would be unprecedented. Joining SMU in that poster child of unprecedentedness of this tournament.